On this episode of Business World, we take a closer look at the 5 reasons why society needs lawyers. We've all heard the jokes about the greedy corporate lawyer or the shady ambulance-chasing personal injury attorney, Better Call Saul. But the fact of the matter is that lawyers serve an extremely important role in our society. In fact, to even state that lawyers are a necessary evil hugely undermines the attorney's role in a well-functioning society. We all know there are bad apples in the law profession, but primarily due to an incredibly stringent ethical standard, I would argue that attorneys uphold a moral framework that far surpasses any other profession. So here are the 5 top reasons. First, an average person cannot understand the complexities of the law. While one can argue the natural intelligence inherent in most attorneys, what is irrefutable is that lawyers dedicate their lives to understanding, studying, enforcing, and legislating laws. Therefore, it is unreasonable to expect any non-attorney to have the same level of knowledge. Second, lawyers carry out the law's purpose. Society requires laws to function. Imagine a world where there are no consequences for backing out of a contract, or where parties never pay for their negligence. Third, protecting the rights of the little men. There's a clear contrast between the powerful and not powerful in our society, between the big corporation and the little consumer, between the rich and the poor, and between the employer and the employee. Lawyers help balance that inequity of power, as the threat of a lawsuit is always in the background. For example, when a manufacturer is negligent in their production of a defective product, they will face the repercussions of a bad faith lawsuit. Similarly, when insurance companies fail to pay on a legitimate policy, they face bad faith litigation. Fourth, protecting the rights of the innocent. It's been said that finding an innocent man guilty is worse than letting 10 guilty men go free. Fifth, serve as a regulatory function. Lawyers provide a certain checks and balances that otherwise would not be available without them. For example, who will ensure that companies follow safety guidelines, or that a water company will make sure that their bottles are not contaminated with harmful pollution? Some have said that the government has proven not to be effective in this area. So the question becomes, how do you pursue a career in law? It all starts here at Miami-Dade College. Our bachelor's degree programs allow you to apply to any ABA accredited law school in the country. So don't wait, enroll today and take advantage of this exciting opportunity. Thank you for watching MDC-TV. We'll be right back. Hi, and welcome back to Business World. Today we have a special guest, Arianna Mendez. She's a civil attorney practicing here in Hialeah, Florida. Arianna, thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you so much for the invite. It's great to be here.
Absolutely, I'm very excited about today's episode. I think it's going to be huge, and we're going to make television great again, Arianna.
The best ratings, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes.
So there's so many students here at Miami-Dade College that, for some reason, and it surprised me, they want to be attorneys, and I think it's like the new cool profession, you know. Tell us a little bit. We're going to start. I know this is the first time here. We're going to start from the beginning.
Sure.
Okay. Like myself and many other immigrant children, we had to advocate for our parents because they didn't speak English.
Right.
Okay. So tell us about your experience growing up, and you're Cuban American?
Yeah, so both parents are Cuban. I was born in California,
Wow.
And my parents are a little older, so their experiences were when, you know, the communism came in and took everything over.
Right.
So the stories that I heard were my parents losing their businesses, losing their property.
Right.
So you grow up with that kind of inherited trauma from that,
That's right.
and you want to advocate and make sure that the country that opened its doors it protects the rights of its people. So from an early age, I wanted to be an advocate for others because I felt that I had a debt of gratitude to this country.
Right. I've never met, I've never met a Cuban American from California. How was California? I mean, tell us.
Well, there's a little bit of a community there, like a Cuban colony there. There's actually a really famous bakery out there in California. It's called Portos, and it's a Cuban bakery, and the lines just go around the block. So we're everywhere. Cubans are everywhere. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Okay. When did you know you first wanted to be an attorney, and what steps did you take to get there?
Sure. So I have a really famous story in my family. There's even pictures where at 6 I had a jury, and jury was all composed of Barbie.
6?
At 6. Wow. And I had oral arguments in front of my little jury, and Ken always got the death penalty. So poor Ken.
Yeah, no, come on, seriously.
Yes. Yes. So his penalty was putting him in the convertible, pushing him down the stairs. That's how, he met his demise after being found guilty.
Oh, God.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
So we moved down here to South Florida. I went to St. Thomas University for undergrad, got a master's in political science from FIU, and eventually, as a good Catholic girl, wanted to go back to St. Thomas to get my law degree. And got a great opportunity there, and I started my career as a prosecutor. Right. And then transitioned to civil litigation, which is, breach of contract, lawsuits over money, which...
Okay, we'll talk about that. So for our students that are interested in law school, so what is the qualifications to get in? So you need a bachelor's degree? That's like the minimum to actually apply?
Yes.
Okay. And you have to take a test?
Yes, LSAT.
Tell us about that test a little bit. What does it contain, and what's like a decent score to get into a law school?
So I always tell people that want to go to law school, it doesn't really matter what your bachelor's is, because law is a very eclectic profession. There's a lot of different areas you can practice. You just need to make sure you have good grades, because the good grades are a gateway to scholarships, and you want to score a 160 on the LSAT. That's going to open a lot of scholarship opportunities for you.
Wow, okay.
And it's good to take a class to prepare for that LSAT, but it's not so much what your major is, it's more of how well you do on it, and you may want to make sure you like writing, because there's a lot of writing.
A lot of writing?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a lot of reading, and not everybody has to be a people person. Like trial lawyers like me, we like people, we like talking, but a lot of my colleagues are more transactional attorneys, and they're more introverted and do more of the heavy lifting with the paperwork, and that's very important as well. So there's kind of a place for everybody in the legal profession.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go to St. Thomas Law School.
Yes.
You graduate.
Yes.
What happens after that? You go to, you said, Palm Beach?
Yes, Palm Beach.
Public Defender's Office?
No, prosecutor.
Oh, prosecutor.
Yeah, prosecutor.
Okay.
So I started.
Why prosecutor versus public defender?
I'm very much about upholding the rule of law. I really like that as a young person. I know.
I get it. With the Ken.
Yes, right. Okay. Yes, poor Ken.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So started my career there, great trial experience. Like that is a very special opportunity that you have to represent the state of Florida, to be able to be an advocate in that way. But obviously that's not a forever career. Compensation is not that great. Okay. So you look for other opportunities, and I always wanted to go back to kind of that origin story of my parents, that they lost everything, and how can I help protect legacies. And business litigation and business transactional work, which is what I do now, allows me to be part of the solution to protect those legacies.
Absolutely. What, when you did trials, but were these civil trials, or were they criminal trials, or did they give you kind of like a little bit of everything? How do they categorize, or how does that work?
At school?
No, when you were a prosecutor in Palm Beach?
Yes.
Like for like a new attorney, right? They graduate and they put him in the prosecutor's office, or state attorneys, they call it?
Yes, state attorney.
Okay, how does it work? Like, what are the, do you go like, okay, Ariana, you're going to get the civil division, or you're going to do criminal, or you're going to do whatever's available? Or?
Sure. So as state attorney, you have white collar crimes, or ones dealing with paperwork, people doing, again, the financial issues, and then there's more like the misdemeanors of DUIs and batteries and theft. And when you start out, they usually put you in misdemeanors. It's the best way to start.
Okay.
But it's very exciting, because you'll come in and say, look, there's a calendar call on Friday, one case will go, you have to prep it. And having the opportunity to prep 5 cases at a time, I'm going to tell your students this, it's very exciting and also very stressful. But it's a great way to kind of baptism by fire. If you can handle that and be successful at it, then it's a good match for you this career.
What were some of the psychological barriers you had to overcome the first day that you actually had to go to court? Like the first, your first case, like when you actually, boom, law school's over, you get your first case, and tomorrow morning I got to go and you have to defend this. What did you experience?
Imposter syndrome. Do I know what I'm doing? Should I even be here? And I'm first generation, so there's always the stress of it's earned. Everything I have in my life is earned. So that was always in the back of my mind. I have to make sure that I'm not the last one. And it's a lot of stress, but you over-prepare, and when you over-prepare, you do well.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I have the same experience. Whenever I feel stressed, preparation gets rid of the stress, big time, because you know exactly what you're doing, you know what you're saying, and you know the sequence, and there's really nothing to.
And the best advice I can give is just practice, practice, practice.
That's good advice.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So fast forward, you went from the state attorney's office. Now you have your.
So I went into another firm.
Oh, you went to another firm
yes,
first?
I went to another firm.
You gaining more experience in the field?
Yes. At that point, I'm doing what I do now, business litigation, business transactional work, both in state and federal court. And I also opened the appellate division there with a senior partner.
What does that mean?
So when the case doesn't go your way on the state or the lower court level, you can appeal it to the higher court and see if you can get another outcome.
Okay.
So it's a very specialized area of law. It's more cerebral. It's kind of like Monday morning quarterbacking and looking what happened and what went wrong. So that is definitely more of a clinical analysis of what happened at the trial court.
Okay,
level.
you said something interesting. So I've heard that law is divided in kind of, two branches, with a common law and then there's a legal precedent.
Right.
Right. So how do you guys actually do this? You go back to similar cases and you analyze.
Yes.
You analyze it and then you see maybe I can have the same outcome because this case is similar. Is that how you do the preparation?
So the appellate courts create a lot of the precedent that we have, and there's different levels. You have federal precedent and you have state precedent, and as an appellate lawyer, I get to play a part in that story because the cases that come out of the cases that we kind of advocate for at that level become law that then affects the lower court rulings. Okay. So it's a really interesting process. But English common law makes our country different from every other system of government because we rely on tradition a lot and what has been done.
Is this a reason why I use so much, I feel, British English in these legal terms?
Well, of course, because we were a British colony once upon a time, and we are very closely related in our legal system and our thought process.
Right. One of my students wants to know, what's a deposition?
So that's the very stressful moment for anybody. Yes.
Okay.
So the subject of the deposition is the person that's being deposed, and it's testimony under oath. So if you're a lawyer, you're involved in a case, you want to find out more about what happened, especially in a civil matter, it's especially used to gather information and also to confirm information.
Okay. Once you gather that information, what's the utility? What do they do with it?
To see if you can prove your case at trial, or see if you can force the other side to settlement, because maybe the person you just deposed really had a bad day that day and gave something away.
Okay, so they're looking for mistakes or...
Yes, inconsistencies.
Okay, okay, interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
It's a gotcha game.
It's a gotcha game. Okay.
Yeah.
And then from there, you could does it stop there, or they go to trial and then they ask you the same questions and then they compare it to your deposition? Is that
it depends. Sometimes I've had cases where we go to a deposition and it went so well that the other side wants to settle. Or sometimes we've gone to depositions and the client hasn't done that well, and then we're going to trial.
Gotcha.
And so it's really like a chess game to see where everybody's at.
Does it differ for a criminal deposition?
No, it's pretty similar.
It's pretty similar.
Yeah, it's pretty similar.
Okay. Do both sides get to depose you?
So the person that sends the subpoenas out, that's their deposition. Right. So they're the side that's requesting that person to be deposed.
Gotcha. So once that's done, does the other side look at it?
Yes, and they can order a transcript if they like.
And then do they ask you questions back, or?
No, they would have to call their own deposition.
Does that happen a lot?
Yes.
Oh my God, that's so annoying for the.
I know, but it's a billable event. Come on, we have to make a living too.
Did you say it was a billable event?
Yes.
I love it.
Yes, we have to make a living too.
Of course you do.
Yes.
Of course you do.
Yes.
Of course you do. All right. So after this experience, this is where you transition to starting your firm.
Yes.
Okay.
So I made a decision that I wanted to open up my own shop.
Of course, that's the ultimate goal.
I made the decision during the pandemic. The timing was off.
You think? Really? Yeah. Was it?
Well, I don't think that's at the time it wasn't the best decision because you were in the middle of the pandemic, but I was my own paralegal, I was my own secretary, and that taught me a lot of skills, meaning I know the job that everybody does in my office because I've done it before.
Okay, that's a great point. Yeah,
yes.
So you understand the whole chain, the whole process.
Correct. So nobody can tell me, no, you can't do that, or that's not how it works, because I literally did it. Okay. So there's benefits to that. But obviously during the pandemic, it was very limiting. The whole world had shut down. Yeah. But we grew pretty quickly. And we're now myself plus a team of 4. So we're very proud.
Tell me exactly what areas are you doing? Are you doing, I think you said civil, but are you doing business litigation? But you're also doing probate, I think you said?
Yeah, we do some probate, but most of our practice is business litigation, so breach of contracts, somebody's not keeping up their end of the bargain, they owe you money, or of course we also do the appellate stuff, which is the third section.
Okay, interesting, okay. Yeah. we're going to take a break, and then when we come back, I want you to unpack some of that. It sounds very interesting.
Sure.
Okay? All right. Friends, thank you for watching Business World. We'll be right back after the break.
Hello, Sharks. I am Finn. Do you know that there is a new requirement for graduation? Most students must now meet the Florida Civic Literacy Exam requirement. The test has 80 questions, and you must get at least 60% right to pass. The good news is that MDC has set up a Florida Civic Literacy Exam learning resources site with all the information you need. Scan this QR code to get started. Don't wait. Get FCLE graduation ready today.
Friends, welcome back to Business World. We resume with attorney Arianna Mendez. So we left off before we took the break on you started your own law firm, right? That's what they call it.
Yep.
It's not really it is your business, but it's more referred to as a law firm. Which I think is a more prestigious term.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And I mean, you're a young woman, so you have years to build this, right? So it's going to be interesting to see your success, and I hope you can come back and speak to our students.
Of course.
Yeah. I want to talk about the marketing aspect of this, but before, I understand you also like film. I like film as well, and I can't get over this, the American Crime Story, the O.J. Simpson show. I'm sorry, I binge watch it. I just watch it over and over, and I think it's like super hilarious.
Right, right.
So you're interested?
Yes, I definitely think that Hollywood makes lawyers look way cooler than we are.
Okay.
Much sharper dressers, much more articulate.
John Travolta,
yeah,
right?
Right, yes.
I can't get over it. I'm
yes,
sorry.
like John Travolta in Civil Action just makes it look like
and the hand
superstar.
gestures.
Yes,
he's just like,
correct.
well, you know, I take
yes.
that.
With that said, there's a lot of lawyers that do have that charm that is true on television and on film, but most of us are just hard workers and we get the job done. So, but Hollywood does a great job romanticizing our profession and is a great recruiter for new lawyers.
Right, yeah, and perhaps inspiring and influence the next the new generation.
Yes,
yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of people from my generation watched The Firm starring Tom Cruise, and we thought, hey, we wanted to be a lawyer. Yeah. So.
You know, the other good one was The Devil's Advocate, Keanu Reeves.
Yes, very nice. And
Keanu Reeves and Al Pacino.
Yeah,
I mean, that's you can't go wrong with those two actors.
A great piece on greed and.
For sure. It's amazing.
Yes. Yes.
All right, let's transition to marketing, which I'm actually becoming more interested in marketing and digital marketing. So traditionally, if you would have done this, I don't know, 16 years ago, it would have been extremely difficult because high cost of television advertising, right? You know, and many, I mean, we have many, I guess I will call them celebrity attorneys in our community.
Right.
And we see them on Channel 41 or Channel 22, especially the Spanish networks here locally.
Of course.
And they're like household names, right? You know, and we all grown to like them. I mean, it's, you know, we have a special you know,
affinity
to them. Exactly. Right, yeah. It's true, you know.
Yeah.
So, but today we're living in a world where the barriers to entry have lowered, to use the term. Social media, right? And that can give you astronomical results for your business. I know you're doing social media. Talk to me about some of the things you've done, and I know you've done a lot of interviews as well.
Yes,
talk about that.
It's great to live in a world where that entrance bar is lowered, but also for me, it's about also maintaining the integrity of the profession. So a lot of my videos tend to be educational. I'm not into the TikToks and all of that. I want to be able to educate my audience, especially I have a lot of audience members and also clients that are Hispanic. So I try to have bilingual videos that kind of educate people, and especially if they're trying to open a mom and pop business, a small business, the basics of how to get them started. For me, that's super important because that hits close to home. I want to make sure that people have that opportunity.
Yeah, that's right. And they say that content is king, right? Like it's not really the medium. It's more about the quality of the content. And for your industry, you have to have a certain level of professionalism, and I'm sure you operate with certain parameters, right? And that's from the regulatory side,
right?
But from the market side, you know, you hire an attorney, you have to make sure that they're competent, that they're serious, and that they're knowledgeable.
And the public expects people to have a social media presence. They'll check out your Instagram, they'll check out your website, they'll make conclusions about how good a lawyer is based on those factors, how many followers they have. It's unfortunate, but this is the reality we're living in.
And do you think it's an accurate conclusion?
I don't think so. I think there's a lot of smoke and mirrors. Like, we're very proud. Our followers were gained organically. We didn't pay anybody. We worked hard for those followers with consistent posting, like we were working it.
Right.
But that's not the case for every page. But a lot of people make conclusions, oh, you only have 700 people that follow you. You must be not that good.
No, because you can be a wonderful trial lawyer, but,
right.
but maybe you're just not a good social media person, or
right.
maybe you're just not focusing your time on social media.
I agree.
Maybe you just started
You're out there fighting the cases.
Right,
yeah, absolutely.
But then that goes back to they don't know.
Correct.
They're not
so
informed, right?
It's almost a balancing act. You have to be really good at your craft, but you also have to have this persona online. And the younger the client, the more they're interested in those indicators.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
How many social media are you in? Like YouTube, Facebook, channels, or?
Yeah, so mostly Instagram and Facebook, and heavily on Instagram. That's the easiest platform.
So that's a younger generation, right? Because Facebook, the users tend to be in their 40s.
Yes, which is great. I get a lot of clients that use that platform and see the content, but the Instagram, definitely a younger demographic.
Are you experiencing that, because I know times have changed, are you experiencing that your Facebook viewers in their 40s, perhaps they tend to be more established and have businesses, or not really, or maybe the younger generation are now more engaged in digital businesses? Are you experiencing clients, different clients based on different social media?
I think the Instagram user is a little younger, so maybe those are your more startup clients that need help starting up the business, while your maybe leads that come through Facebook tend to be more established and maybe have litigation that has come up or have more complex issues.
Okay. And are you, is there anything you can't talk about on social media? Are you bound by any regulation?
Yes.
And if so, what are these limitations of speech?
Right. So confidentiality is a big thing in my business. So we cannot reveal identities of clients. We have to be very careful about how we present legal advice. So that's why I say it's always very educational with our content, because we're there to inform, not specifically say you should do X, Y, and Z in this situation.
So technically you're not giving legal advice?
Correct.
So you're just
educating.
Yes,
and using a baseline. If this happened and this happened, usually X, Y, Z would happen. But if you need more information, 786-687-5300.
So I'm really big on psychology these days, or like mental preparation, or having that state of certainty. How do you prepare for cases? Is there a ritual that you go through?
Yes. So it depends. If we're going to trial, that has its own ritual. So
I can imagine.
Yes.
That's a big thing. That's exciting, I would imagine.
It is. It is also very stressful. Your whole life is just concentrating on getting ready for trial. And I can't overemphasize this. It's extremely stressful.
What type of stress? Is it stress or eustress? There's two different types of stress. There's stress, which is bad for you. And then there's eustress, which is actually good for you. It's a motivating type stress that kind of like, magnetic, and it guides you towards your goal. What type
For me, it's the butterfly stress, and I'll explain what the butterfly stress is, that you feel compelled that you need to perform at a certain level and you need to wow. Then there's the other type of stress that doesn't allow you to speak because you have like a frog in your throat and you're so overwhelmed by everything that's going on.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, so for me, it's always butterfly stress, that I want to perform at a certain level. I want to make sure that I am presenting the best possible case, and also I'm not going to embarrass my client, myself, my firm, and also present a very good case overall.
Is that your fear?
Yes. Incompetence has always been my fear.
Okay, and so you have physiological response in your stomach and
I have never had the frog in my throat situation.
Oh, you have not had
no.
it? Oh, okay.
Yes, but I've had people that I've worked with that
have shared.
Yes.
Okay.
And for me, it's always butterflies. Like I need to perform at a certain level.
They say that we can only control our performance, and that outcomes, it's in the realm of destiny or whatever.
Right.
How do you deal with outcomes that you're not satisfied with? Failure. How do you deal with failure?
So I love the serenity prayer. There are certain things I can control. There are certain things I can't.
All right.
I can control my preparation. I can control the type of due diligence that I've done on a case. I can control how I've prepped my client. But there are other factors that I can't control. If there's a juror that doesn't like my jacket, that's something I can't control. So I've learned that to embrace the serenity prayer, and it's been good for stress management.
Okay. And so in the times that you have failed, I think, you know,
Yeah.
you don't have to share it, but how,
Right.
how do you, what happens after?
I think you have to dissect. You dissect.
Okay, so your approach is analytical. Let's break this
Yes.
apart. What went
Yeah.
wrong?
Yes.
Let's make sure this doesn't happen again.
Yes, and make sure that you also learn from the failure, whatever it is.
Right.
Because sometimes we just fixate on the actual bad outcome and we don't actually look at what the lesson was involved.
Right. So you like to break it apart and
Yes, yes.
Go
But
back-
that's after, like 24 hours after,
After,
not
like-
in the moment. In the moment, I need a moment to myself. Yes.
of course, of course.
Yes.
Okay. And similarly, how do you deal with success?
Don't let it get to your head. There's a great poem by Roger Kipling that says that if you can walk with kings and keep your virtue, and I try to do that. So just because you did good one day, that doesn't mean that you can't have a bad day tomorrow. So
Okay.
try to be even keel. You're just human. You have good days and bad days.
Okay. So what advice will you give Miami-Dade college students that are interested in pursuing a career in law?
You need to really want it. It's a very difficult profession. It's very cutthroat. There's a lot of people that want to be lawyers. So unless you really truly want to be an advocate, it can't be just a laissez-faire interest. It has to be a vocation, something that you really want to do, because if not, you're going to get lost.
Right. I hear a lot that law school is, they call it immersion.
Yeah.
You can't dabble in it. You have to immerse
Yes.
yourself, and something to the effect that you're not allowed to work in the first year. Is this true?
Well, some...
Or you're not recommending?
Well, yeah, some people do have to work just because they have a need to work.
Of course, right.
But it's difficult. And the students that do that, they have a hard time balancing it. But I will tell you that the person you come in when your first year of law school is not the person that leaves 3 years later.
What do you mean by that?
It's just they change the way that you look at the world, how you analyze situations, and it creates a different animal. And that's why we're so heavily regulated, because you give a person so many tools and so much training. I like to say we're almost like a bookworm Navy SEALs, because we are taught all these strategies of how to convey and how to persuade. You can't let us loose. We'll be dangerous. Yes.
That's I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Do you know any lawyer jokes? Don't answer that. I'm just kidding.
I love the Shakespeare one, you know?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You could answer if you want. It was a joke, but
Yes,
go ahead.
yes. No, there's good lawyer jokes out there. And I think as lawyers, we can't take ourselves too seriously. And that we need to make fun of ourselves, because there's a lot to make fun of.
Okay. Ariana, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed the show. And hopefully you can come back and speak on some of the cases you've been working on, or whatever you can share.
Would love to. Thank you.
Friends, thank you for watching Business World. Till next time, see you then.